Hey folks, back again today. Gonna do a little video for you. If you hear some pitter patter running around, that's my little dog. He's in the bedroom with me. But this is my wife's office slash bedroom type deal. So anyway, I'm gonna do a video comparing a red dot sighted handgun versus a traditional iron sight handgun. Now, I wanted to try to keep this as fair as possible. So I've got my Glock 17. It is bone stock. All it has on it is a set of Talon grips and a set of Ameriglow Hackathorn sights. So if you can see, I've got the Hackathorn sights and the Talon grips, and that's it. It's wearing a Surefire X300 Lite. The other gun I've got is a fairly modified gun. It is a Glock 17. It's wearing a stipple job. It's double undercut here at the trigger guard. It's a modified slide by Gray Ghost. It's lightened out on the top. It's quite a bit lighter in the slide. And it has an Overwatch precision trigger, and I've done a little trigger work to it. So this is about as close as I could find of two guns that are almost identical in my collection. So we're going to start our video and we're going to compare these two. One with a Delta Point Pro and one with traditional iron sights. All right. I'm gonna start with this gun. I'm gonna break both guns down for you so you can see what or show both guns so you can see what I'm, up close what I'm working with. This is a Gen 4 Glock 17. I've taken the finger grooves off. I gave it a double undercut on the trigger guard. It is wearing a Streamlight TLR1. I have a Gray Ghost slide that's been lightened. It also has an Ameriglow blacked out front sight and a Leupold Delta Point Pro on the rear. It has an Overwatch precision trigger. This is the aluminum one, and I've done some work on the inside to give it a better trigger pull. So this gun is not highly tuned, but it is slightly massaged. So it should, in all purposes, it should be a faster gun. Let's see, the Leupold Delta Point. This is my favorite red dot sight on the market. You can see it has a very large window to see through. Let's see if I can get that dot to show up. There it is. I believe it has either a 2 or a 3 MOA dot. It's a fairly fine dot, so you can get some good accuracy work with this gun, but it's also big enough to be pretty quick as well. It has a bigger window than the Trijicon RMR or the Holosun, and I like that about it. I like the larger window. A lot of people that watch videos will try to tell you that the Delta Point Pro is not a durable sight. That's a bunch of hogwash. The Delta Point Pro is a very durable sight. It's not as durable as a Trijicon RMR. I will give you that. The Trijicon RMR is probably the most durable housing on the market. That being said, this is still extremely durable. Where I think this exceeds the Trijicon RMR is in the electronics. Very rarely do you hear of the Delta Point Pro having electronic problems. Go look up the Trijicon RMR and see how many times you hear about electronic problems with that. So I'm not knocking the RMR. I own a couple of them. But I will say this is by far my favorite out of all handgun mounted red dot sights on the market. Let's look at this other gun and see what I'm going with that. This is my bone stock Glock 17 Gen 5. Only thing I've done to this is put a set of Talon grips and a set of Ameriglow Hackathorn sights on it. It's got that red dot in the front, blacked out in the rear. This one has a Surefire X300 on it. No modifications internally at all. Really no modifications or permanent modifications made to the gun, period. This Talon grip comes right off. So It's a similar comparison, but I think the Grago Slide has a little bit of an edge over this Glock right here, but we'll find out here in just a minute. Now, there was a few things I wanted to kind of compare with these guns, and this video might be a little lengthy, but hopefully it won't be that bad. One thing I wanted to compare was the accuracy between the guns running iron sights versus a red dot sight. Another thing, and what I wanted to do is see if there's any noticeable difference in accuracy between the two. Another thing that I wanted to see was there a noticeable difference in speed between the red dot equipped gun and the iron sighted gun. So I took them both out to the range, and I started with my 10-10-10 drill, the Hackathorn drill. I started, let me tell you this before I go any farther. I did not shoot these guns one right after the other, rotating back and forth between the guns. I don't think that would have been a fair comparison. So what I did is, since I am the most familiar with iron-sighted guns, I used it last. If there was going to be a hindrance, I wanted to make sure the hindrance was on the iron-sighted gun, not the red dot equipped gun. So I started with the red dot equipped gun. Even though the video clips will look like I'm shooting one and then I'm going to shoot the other, I actually shot all one full string with the red dot equipped gun, and as soon as I was done testing it, then I went to the iron-sighted gun. So I started my test with the Ken Hackathorn drill, the 10-10-10 drill. It was at 10 yards, 10 rounds in under 10 seconds. With the iron-sighted, or with the Delta Point, I was able to get the time down in the 6s. I think I got close to the high 5s, maybe my last go around, I can't remember. But accuracy was pretty good. I threw 3 rounds out of 4 different strings. I threw 3 rounds with the Delta Point equipped gun. Now, with that being said, I wasn't taking my time. Once I got that first magazine out of the way and got comfortable with that red dot again, I started trying to shoot as fast as I could go and still get all rounds in the bullseye. Then I went to a different drill. Now, what I found out with the red dot in that drill was that my groups were pretty good. From magazine to magazine, my groups were pretty good. I did throw 3 rounds, but it produced pretty tight groups shooting at that speed. And it also allowed me to get back on target pretty good with that red dot. I don't know if y'all have ever taken any red dot classes to show you how to use a red dot on a handgun, but if you do it the right way, that red dot will fall right back in your line of sight and you break the next shot. So in that drill, the red dot gun produced a pretty good result. I was fairly quick with it. I was keeping all of my times, 10 rounds, in 6 or less seconds. And the accuracy was very, very acceptable. I moved on to single round presentations from a holster. This is one area that red dots can suffer a little bit. I started at 3 rounds, backed up to 5, and then went to 7. At 3 rounds, I believe my red dot equipped gun was somewhere around mid-8s, 0.80, 0.85, in that area once I got warmed up to it and used to it again. Now let me say, I've got thousands of rounds through guns with red dots equipped on them. So I'm not a newbie when it comes to shooting red dots on handguns. So I was able to get my times down in the mid-8s, 0.80, 0.85, 0.89, in that area, one shot from the holster. I backed up to 5 yards and they slowed down just a little bit. I was in the 9s. I went to about 0.93, 0.95, 0.97. backed up to 7 yards, and I was about 1.1, 1.5. I think some of them even went up to the 1.15, 1.16. So obviously the farther back I got, the slower it got. Now remember, when I'm shooting up close, 1-round presentations from a holster, as soon as I see that dot, I'm breaking my shot. As soon as I see the dot and it's over the area that I'm wanting to shoot, I break the shot. In a close round or close quarters scenario like that, you want to get a flash sight picture, and you want to be able to break your shot with your accuracy being in an acceptable range, about the size of a fist, maybe a little bigger. I was able to accomplish that with just about every round. I think I dropped 1, maybe 2 rounds out of that vital area. But so up close, I was hovering in the 8s. Moved back to the 5s, I was hovering in the 9s. And you move back to 7, I was hovering just a little over a second. Then I went on to my Bear Solutions drill that I do quite often. It's where I shoot 5 rounds on the left, 5 rounds on the right. I reload, and I shoot 3 rounds in the center. I shot that twice. The first go around, I was in the mid 6s. I was like 6.5, 6.6 seconds, which isn't terrible, but it's not great. But the accuracy was amazing. I mean, the accuracy was really good. I moved to the second iteration of it, and I shot it in the high 5s. It was almost a 6 second. I think it was 5.9 or something like that, 5.85, 5.9 seconds. But the accuracy was still pinpoint perfect. Then I switched guns. I ran a few rounds through the iron-sighted gun just to get the feel of it again, just so I would get used to it again. And I ran the 10-10-10 drill with it. With the iron-sighted gun, I was able to produce quicker times. I was down in the low to mid 5s with that gun. And whereas the red dot equipped gun, on 3 of the magazines, I threw 1 round every magazine of 3 magazines. Well, let's take that back. I shot 4 magazines. Out of 4 magazines, I had 3 flyers, 1 out of the first 3 magazines. With the non-red dot equipped gun, I had 4 flyers. I had a flyer out of every magazine. And the group wasn't quite as tight. Now, it was quite a bit faster. It was almost a second faster, but the groups weren't as tight, and I had 1 flyer out of all 4 magazines. So then I went and did single round presentations from a holster with the iron-sighted gun. Times were quicker. I was able to get at 3 yards, first rounds on target in the low to mid 7s. I think the fastest time I did it was a .71. It might have been a .70, I can't remember. It was either a .70 or a .71. And I was averaging around a .75 to .77. So definitely quicker. No noticeable difference in accuracy at 3 yards. Backed up to 5 yards. I was still faster with the iron-sighted gun for a 1-round presentation on target. I was able to get those up there in the very low 9s to high 8s. So I was still about 1/10 of a second quicker. Then I backed up to 7 yards, and they were hovering right at 1 second. And the accuracy was just as good with that, with the iron-sighted gun as in the red dot equipped gun. I'm going to give you my thoughts on red dot versus iron-sighted guns. All right, conclusion. What I learned today about iron-sighted guns versus red dot equipped guns. Pretty much it confirmed what I already suspected. I've shot several thousand rounds, probably 7,000 to 8,000 rounds through guns equipped with a red dot sight. That is nowhere near as many rounds as some people have fired through them, but it's way more than others have fired through them. I feel like I can speak relatively intelligently on red dots at this point. Red dot equipped guns, in my experience, are slower for the first shot on target at distances 7 yards and in. When you are at 7 yards and in, the red dot equipped guns, in my experiences, are slower. How much slower? It's only a tenth or two of a second slower. So that's not much, but a tenth or 2/10 of a second can be a lot in a gunfight. But today on the timer, shooting them back to back, I did learn that my suspicions were correct and that the red dot equipped gun was slower. Now, another thing is my red dot equipped gun should have been faster. It's got a much better trigger. It's got a more ergonomic grip from the way I've contoured the trigger guard and put the texturing on the gun. So it should have been, with the advantage that it has in trigger and grip, it should have been the same speed. I would be curious as to put a red dot on an MOS stock Glock 17 and see what the differences would be. I suspect the time from first shot out of holster would grow even more, but I can't confirm that because I hadn't done it. But the first shot out of holster from 7 yards and in, the red dot was slower. Subsequent shots were more accurate. So what I mean by that is after I get my first round off, both of them were about the same as in accuracy. But my follow-up shots with the red dot sighted gun, the follow-up shots were more accurate. They were closer together. I produced better groups with them. And part of that has to do with the red dot is just an easier system to shoot with on a rifle or on a handgun. That red dot has less going on. You can concentrate on the target instead of concentrating on the sights, and it allows you to be more accurate with the gun that you're shooting. So even though I was slower, I was a little more accurate. A little more accurate, not a lot more accurate. Now, we weren't shooting at 25 yards either. I have done that in the past, and the red dot equipped gun is much easier to shoot at 25 and 50 yards than the iron-sighted gun is. So I learned that it was slower on the draw. I learned that follow-up shots were more accurate. Follow-up shots weren't necessarily faster though. Follow-up shots were about the same speed, maybe just a touch slower. So, excuse me. So all around, the iron-sighted gun was faster from the first shot to the last, but the red dot equipped gun was more accurate from the first shot to the last. I'm sure that if I gave up iron-sighted guns altogether and only shot red dot equipped guns for the next 2 to 5 years, that I could probably become as fast with my red dot gun as I am my iron-sighted gun. But I can tell you, when I went back to my iron-sighted gun, that repetition that I put in with the red dot gun would probably make me faster with the iron-sighted gun. So I'm not knocking red dot sights. They are the future of handguns. They are going to be on just about every handgun within the next 10 years. It's just no way around it. I don't necessarily think red dot sights are where they need to be right now for military or law enforcement use. The open emitter design, in my opinion, needs to be fixed before they go into military and law enforcement use. I believe Trigicon will come out with a closed emitter soon. I don't know when, but I have no doubt that they're going to come out with a closed emitter sight. Holosun supposedly has one out, but I haven't been able to find it yet. And of course, Aimpoint has one that has a terrible battery life. But as soon as closed emitter red dot sights come out, I think the time will be then for those sights to go into holsters of law enforcement and military. But until then, I think the red dot's not quite there yet. Almost. And for someone carrying concealed, I think it's there now. But for someone carrying law enforcement or military, I think it needs to hold off just a little bit. But I like my red dot sights. I love them. They're fun to shoot. I like trying to push myself with them and get faster. But for now, as far as I go, until they come out with an enclosed emitter, I'll stick with iron sights because they are just foolproof. There's nothing that really can go wrong with iron sights that can go wrong with red dot sights. Now, like I said, I'm not bashing red dots, not at all. I like them. I just don't think they're ready for prime time right now. In another year, 2 years, yeah, they will be. But right now, I think I'll stick with my iron sights. I appreciate y'all watching. I know there's going to be people out there that don't like my opinion, but the thing is, it's my opinion. And you've got your opinion, I've got my opinion. That's what makes America great. We can both express our own opinions. And if you disagree with my finding on the red dot sight being slower, leave it in the comment below and tell me why you think I'm wrong. Also, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. I think I have some pretty cool videos coming up here in the next few weeks. And I'm glad y'all clicked on my link to watch me. And I hope y'all have a great weekend.